Hello, welcome. Today I'm going to tell you about the soil food web. Now, have you ever thought about what goes on beneath the soil level? What creepy crawly things are going on? Well, I have. And according to the Science Learning Hub in 2015, there are more organisms in one handful of soil than there are human beings on Earth. One handful of soil. That is amazing to me. There are so many organisms, microorganisms, that work together in this cycle that we don't see ever that make a huge impact on our lives. So today I'm going to tell you about the composition of the soil food web, the importance, and the relevance. Now, I've done the research necessary to give you this information here today. I'm studying environmental science, and conservation biology is my passion. So the reason you should listen is that the soil food web provides these services for us that we never even see. So it's good to learn about them to see sort of how we can help them out, maybe how they can help us and how we can help them in the soil food web. So the first point I would like to say is that the composition of the soil food web is made up of all these critters. The soil is alive. Even though it doesn't look alive, it's alive. It's teeming with bacteria, fungi, protozoa, nematodes. You see the visual aid I have here in the PowerPoint, the soil food web, different levels of these organisms and where this energy flows and how they all sort of work together and they cycle nutrients in this beautiful soil food web. So according to Melanie Pollier from Blumenbach Institute in 2021, organisms directly and indirectly rely on this dead organic matter as habitat and food resources. So keeping organic matter in the soil is very important. Now, organic matter is, according to the University of Minnesota Extension, it is plant and root residue and compost and manure in different decomposition stages. So as things break down, they release these nutrients to the soil, and these different microorganisms take them in, and then they release the nutrients back. And so it's a food web. Everything works together, and they each have their own individual job, their own tasks to complete. There's different levels in what they do. They decompose or they graze, they shred, they're predators. Whatever their job is, it's important. Every aspect of the food web is important. You take one out and the whole thing might fall. So now that you sort of learned about what makes up this soil food web, what's the composition, I'm going to tell you about its importance. Now, the soil food web is important because knowing about soil health is vital to a living ecosystem. You need to know if the soil can provide a living ecosystem for these microorganisms. And these organisms keep your soil healthy, they keep the soil structure intact, they cycle these nutrients for us, they keep the soil and the water and the air clean. All these nutrients do all these beautiful jobs that we don't see. And working together, having these nutrients cycle through are something that we never see, and it's just a really cool process that's happening in the soil beneath us. So according to the Canadian Journal of Soil Science by Sarah Shabani in 2013, soil microbial communities control all biological processes in the soil. They're considered a good indicator of general soil health. So knowing how our soil is doing, how the general health of the soil is, helps us in conservation land management because everything is connected in all these organisms and going up the food chain, how different animals work together with these organisms and how everything comes together in this. So it is absolutely vital in conservation to know this relationship with the soil. And nutrient cycling is one of the key points. If you see in my second visual aid here, the nutrient cycling, they never leave. The nutrients cycle over and over again. The byproducts of one feed the next, and these nutrients are released in plant available form. So the plants can take them up and produce nutrient-rich produce and crops for us to consume and for other animals to consume as well. So now you sort of know the importance of the soil food web and why you should care about it. Now I'm going to let you know about the relevance today, why it's relevant here, now, today. So according to the National Audubon Society, the soil holds 10% of the world's CO2 emissions. Think about that for a second. 10%. So these organisms are providing an essential service for us by keeping the CO2 in the soil, by cycling nutrients. Now, this is relevant today because soil all over is becoming more and more nutrient depleted due to intensive tillage. Now, intense tillage is what triggers these microorganisms to release the CO2 into the air, which we know is a harmful greenhouse emission. So if we want to sort of keep our planet more sustainable and keep our our produce and our crops the most nutrient dense, so that we can consume the most nutrient dense produce and crops, then there are a few things we can do by reducing the tillage. We can add compost as a natural fertilizer. We can add a living plant cover to sort of add these nutrients back in. And according to the National Audubon Society, it takes 500 years to form 1 inch of topsoil. 500 years. So if we keep these soil microbes happy, doing their job, keeping the soil structure intact, we won't lose as much soil to erosion, and these microbes will keep the air, water, and the plants healthy and clean and provide this essential service for us and for all these other organisms on Earth, and keeping everything in this beautiful cycle. Back to that. So everything is connected, and that is the main point here. Keeping these nutrients in cycle is vital. So now that you've learned about the composition of the soil food web, its importance and its relevance, I hope that you take a few of these points away today and you have some information about the soil, and next time you go digging around, you can remember there are more organisms in one handful of soil than there are human beings on Earth. And what a beautiful thing. So I'm going to continue to do the dirty work and dig up all this information about these microorganisms in the soil and how they provide this beautiful service for us here on Earth. And thank you for listening. I hope you are well informed. Have a good day.